We're just
Play it. We can't play it
Why can't?
because we're recording.
Oh, are we?
You don't play when you
Don't
record.
look at me like
The
that.
mic over
Like
there,
what?
dog.
You looked at me.
You're looking at me.
You looked at me.
It's your boy.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
We're ready. So, we're going to have some fun today.
Maybe.
Kind of,
TC
sort of. We're
loses
going
his
to get...
DJ voice that he's in.
No, I can get in my DJ voice, though. Oh, coming down to the main
stage.
Why are you talking over me? Shut up over there, mouth eater.
You know shut the.
Mic eater.
I know shut the.
Oh, coming down to the main stage, we got the beautiful, lovely Miss Kate.
Katie.
Kate.
Oh, you didn't even get my name right.
I say Kate.
Ah,
That's not my name.
butchered.
But I like to shorten stuff.
Well, my niece calls me KK.
KK.
At
Oh.
okay, or you could be
Didn't Wiz Khalifa have a song called KK? I think so. Let me
Dude.
see.
Does he? No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
You know, I'm Aunt KK to baby all.
KKK?
No,
too
no,
racy?
no,
Too,
yeah, we can't do that.
I'm black. I can pick sides. No, what? No, not really. I'm
It works that
mixed.
way.
I'm mixed. I can pick sides. So we got the beautiful Miss. Introduce yourself.
Katie.
She sounds so polite. Well, this is Katie.
I'm white and I like Starbucks.
Oh, Lord.
That's true. But
Boom.
both of those things are
Bougie.
true.
Right.
Well,
all right, cool.
Today on our podcast, we're going to talk about, I guess you could say it's like an ongoing deal in the world or in the nation, in our nation at least, in our country, and that's military wives. We're getting the wife perception of this first so we can see what it's like, and then I'm going to bring on later in another probably podcast deal a man that has a wife in the service and he's not in the service. You, I'm correct, are currently not in the service, right?
That is correct. Nor have I ever been.
Okay, so that's perfect. And your husband is in the service, correct?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you. Thank him. And thank all our...
Thanks, Tim. Oh, love you.
Oh, so sweet. I want to say thank you to all our servicemen and women that are out there in the world fighting for our freedom. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for everything y'all do. Y'all do need a pay raise. Just saying.
Agree.
Agree. Very agree. So, all right, we're going to go through a series of questions with you.
All right.
They're not going to be too personal. I don't want to know weird stuff about y'all because I know military people, y'all be getting freaky. But what I want to know, a couple of things. How do you go about just normal day activities from them being with you 24/7 to not being there at all when they're deployed? Like, when I mean normal day activities, like the things that they would help you with, like help you with the laundry or help you open that jar of pickles that you can't get open by yourself.
No, you can't.
That is so sexist.
I mean,
I'm just kidding. Well, I think, like, okay, so I understand your question, and I think that, like, before you even get into the answer to that question is you kind of have to do a little precursor, and, you know, there's a lot of different ways to be in the military.
Okay.
And I think that's a lot, like, something that a lot of people don't really think about, right? So, I mean, you can be active duty, and you're always there, and whatever, and you get deployed, and active duty people get deployed a little more often. But my husband's not active duty. He's in the National Guard. He's in the Mississippi National Guard. He's in the Army. When he's deployed, he's with Big Army. So it's very different for me than it might be for other people. And I think that it's important, like, consideration really to think about, hey, you know, the way that an active duty wife might feel about some things that are different, you know, than someone who, like me, where my husband has a civilian job and he goes, you know, once a month, every weekend, and 3 weeks in the summer, and he's gone. It's just different. And I think that in some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse. But, you know, Tim doesn't deploy but every 6 to 10 years, but they're like 18-month deployments. So, like, if you're active duty, it's like a 9-month deployment or a 6-month deployment, and you do it every other year, right? And so it's a little different. So I think, honestly, as far as like day-to-day stuff with Tim being gone, it's a lot harder, honestly, than if he were to be active duty, because it's it's not something that I'm used to. I don't deal with it all the time. And it's so fucking long.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, like 18 months, like you really can't. I thought that I knew, and I had no idea. Like straight up 2007 Brittany right here. I had no idea, like what I was getting into. And even I told him too, before he left, like we had more time to know too. Like we knew he was deploying for a while, and so it was like I was like, Tim, you have to prepare me for this. Like, you need to sit down and like take time and prepare me for this deployment because I don't know what to expect. And he was like, well, Katie, I can't prepare you for this. Like, you just have to do it. And I thought he was just being lazy because, I mean, he's a little bit lazy sometimes. But like, I mean, I thought he was just being lazy, but it's true. Like, there's nothing he could have told me that could prepare me for like this whole thing. But essentially, so I think there's like phases of deployment. So now that I got my precursor out of the way, like, let me answer your actual question. So like,
about time.
I know, I'm sorry.
God, I've been waiting. Damn.
So like, I think there's different phases of deployment, right? So like in the beginning, it's kind of like, you're all charged up and like, you're like, oh, I can totally do this. And so like you take on everything and you try and stay, like everybody tells you to stay busy. And so you stay busy. And then you kind of hit like that, you get to see them off, right? And so like you're all like, okay, this is not gonna be bad. I'm just gonna live every day and I'm gonna pack it full and it'll be fine. And then you hit that phase where you're just like, I can't. Like
you almost hit a plateau.
Yeah, no, it's totally you're just fucking lonely. Like you're lonely, and there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Yeah, yeah. Sure. I mean, you can be alone and be fine, and and I kept telling people like, y'all, I existed before Tim did. Like, I can do this, right? But it's very different, and so I went through the whole like I can do it all, and I'm gonna overbook myself, and I'm gonna stay busy, and I'm gonna never say no, and just keep do everything. And then, like, I hit that phase where, like, my dishwasher broke and my washing machine broke and my hot water heater went out and then my air conditioner went out. And we call that, we military wives, I'm air quoting that. I hate that term. We call that deployment Murphy, where, everything that can go wrong will go wrong, which I think actually, and that's deployment Murphy. I think the real Murphy's Law is anything that can happen will happen. Right.
Right.
So that all happens, and it's like a hard gut check, and you're just like that. So then you go into the phase of like, okay, I'm just lonely. Like, all I want to do is like sleep or like, whatever. And then, I think now I'm kind of more in a like, okay, let me deal with this one day at a time. Also, I guess think all of military life is just all of these cliches that I hate, because like, how can you take more than one day at a time?
Because I know a lot of times you'll see the whole TV style of military wives and how they do it on TV, which we all know reality TV.
That's a reality show, though.
Yeah, it's all a joke. Yeah. It's all scripted. Even the game shows, they're scripted. So to actually hear just a little bit from an actual person,
right?
An actual wife that's going through this versus, let's exaggerate this one little tiny thing that's not that big and make it seem like this is what it's really like when it's really not while people are on TV. So, I can see where it's coming from, because I know I used to travel. But when I traveled for my job, I didn't have a girlfriend. But I had a family that needed me, and I was the man of the house. So whenever I would travel, all those things like the dishwasher and things like that would break. Here I am, thousands of miles away, out of town for probably the next month or two. They're like, we kind of need you to come home and fix some stuff. Like, I'm sorry, I can't. Like this,
right?
So I can understand how that.
And the mindset is so different too. When like, if you were to have the option to come home, like you have one mindset, but like I know there is no, like, something horrible will have to happen for Tim to come home, right? And I definitely don't want him coming home to fix the dishwasher, you know. So, like, you do have to learn a lot to figure it out. And I think this is where it kind of diverges for different people is, some people have that. Some people have that gumption. Some people have that figured out.
Yeah.
And some people don't. And I think that the people that don't, they either learn it or they just have a really hard time, or they learn to deal with it in other ways that are not healthy, like drinking or cheating, or which is, every military spouse's worst nightmare.
Yeah. Well, that's anybody in general. So it's just, I don't think that, it has a big play to do with military, because y'all are overseas, and they're with a bunch of people that you have no clue who they are, and you're back here with people that he may not know. So I can understand that it plays a big part in the cheating side, but I think that plays a part in just the everyday life,
right? Because
I go to work, she goes to work, you go to work, he goes to work. Even if y'all were here, you don't know what's happening at work.
Right.
You don't have a focus on somebody 24/7 unless they are stuck in your house and you can't go nowhere with them.
Well, I definitely think I do think it's more relevant for deployed people, right? I mean, because first of all, I mean, you just have to understand the military mindset and that culture that is happening with them, and they are all huddled together with a whole bunch of dudes in a really shitty place, and it's happening to somebody every day, right? They're getting that call, they're finding something out. And it just kind of like infects everybody, right? So there's that culture, and it's also like kind of, even in the very beginning, even at boot camp, which I can't say that because Tim's in the Army, and so it's basic training. So even in basic training, that's something that a drill sergeant is using to like really mold you. Like, oh, your girlfriend back home, she's with Jody right now, So it's like, so there's that, and I think that they're. Men and women are different, right? And so I think that men a lot of times have the perspective like, I have to have sex.
Yeah.
It is a box that I have to check. I have to do it. And they think that that's also true of women. And so if I'm not doing it for her, well, she's going to do it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And that's not true at all. Like, that's never like that. Well, for a lot of reasons, that's the very last thing on my mind at all. Not to mention, I don't know if I can say this, but Tim made me a clone your cock.
Oh my God.
So I'm good.
We went there.
Sure.
Yeah,
I didn't realize, I'd say we weren't this personal.
Oh, clone a Willie.
No, it's totally, we were totally stoked about it, and it's actually really funny because Tim's not patient at all. So like he did it before he left, and I didn't know that he got it, but he got, or maybe I did. I think he got it for like Christmas or something, and he got it, and he was so excited about it. And you're supposed to like, you're supposed to like do the cast, and you let the cast sit for like 24 hours, and then you're supposed to pour the silicone in, and you're supposed to let the silicone sit for 48 hours.
Right.
Well, Tim did like a World of Warcraft binge, or at least what I thought he was doing. He was actually making the clone my cock one night, all night. So in the span of 12 hours, he did what should have taken, 72 hours. And he set it right next to the coffee machine, like sitting up on the base or whatever, so I could find it the next morning. This is hilarious. And so I go and like, so it hadn't set all the way, And so I get up and I go get coffee, and I'm like,
smush it.
and I'm kind of like a little dazed because I just woke up. It takes me a while to wake up, and I go and I make my coffee, and I look, and I do a double take. I look over again, and I'm like, oh my God, that looks like Tim's cock. But it's a little bit leaned over just a little bit. Like it's just kind of like got a little TI tilt on it. And anyway, so I've got that. So it's really, like of course I miss my husband, and like the sex part of it is a big thing, and that's what feeds those worries about, and that infects a whole lot of your life too, because like you can have the most trusting relationship, it's still there. That thought is still there, and then once that's out there in the world, then like, you're second guessing everything. Why didn't, and that's why like, I don't ever leave my phone anywhere. Like if Tim calls me right now, I'm going to take it because I don't want him to think that I'm cheating, and it's, and because I want to talk to him too, but I know, right?
We got matching pop sockets.
We do have matching. Mine looks a little better than yours right now.
Yeah, mine's worn. It's used.
Yeah.
I have no pop socket.
You're lame. Anyway, back to
so yeah, no, I mean like that's, but I do think that it is more relevant in military life with that issue and that, and it's that can be difficult. I don't know where we're going with that. We tangented a little bit.
It's cool.
Okay, my
all
second,
about.
because we got real personal just then.
Yeah.
My second question